check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Nichoel Juergens, how are you?
Michael Moore, I am good. It is 2022. Can you believe that?
Yes. This is the first time I'm seeing your face in 2022.
Yes, this is the first time I'm seeing your face in 2022. And this is the start of the third year of 15 days to slow the spread. It's been a lovely 15 days. January 4th.
Can we just start with something positive?
2022. Yes, we can.
Can we just say, let's just say something nice? I don't know.
I believe this is the year where we are going to finally become the humanity that we are have said we are. That we're going to all be in it together by the end of this year. I think. That's positive.
Wow, I wanted to start the program off positively so bad, but with you saying that, I'm just like, there's no chance. But listen.
Yes, of course. Oh, you don't think so? What do you think? No. You have dooms. You think this year is going to be another doomsday year? Oh no! Don't say it, because you were right in the beginning to say this lasted for so long.
I'm generally right, but listen. That hasn't changed in 2022. Listen,
except for when you're wrong, but then yes.
Except for when I'm wrong, but when I'm not wrong, I'm typically always right when I'm not wrong. But listen, yeah, I don't agree with you, my sister. I think that.
What do you? Okay, so what's your prediction for this year? You think it's not going to get better?
On a personal level, I feel like this is my year. I just feel like just the heavens are going to open up on me. God is just gonna kiss me on the cheek. I just feel like this is mine and my family's year. And those that know us are just gonna be blessed. Even the people that know us, that just want to touch me on the shoulder and just, hi, Mike, they're gonna be blessed. But as a society,
but everybody else,
sorry, but everybody else,
it's gonna suck for you.
I just suggest that you get in touch with yours. Spiritual side, your positive energy, love flowing, just everything is going to look upside, because I just think we're serving a government that is unrelenting, and we're serving a society that has yet to turn the corner on what's important. And what I'm saying is society as a whole is going to have to start devaluing money. On a personal level, we're going to have to stop looking at money as the end all be all. If you don't have it, you suck. If you have it, you're awesome. Your life is only good if you have it. We literally are going to have to just turn the corner mentally, collectively, on how we view money, because I really feel like that's really the source of all the calamity that's going on right now. Me and my wife were having a talk last night, actually, because they are now mandating the booster for her, and it has to be done
because she works in a hospital setting.
In a hospital, yes. She has to get it done by, like, I think she said February 1st. I believe it was February 1st.
Like, get it now.
Yeah, and my response to her was like, you got to do what you feel like doing. Essentially, mm-hmm. Like, we'll make it. You know, if you don't want to work there, if you want to find someplace else to work, if you can't work, like, my faith and my belief in, you know, God and myself and just all of that just keeps me from ever being I shouldn't say that, not ever, but for the most part, not being worried about how I'm going to make it to tomorrow. I've just always sort of had that.
Me too.
Because I told her straight up, like, babe, I'm not getting a booster. I'm not. I ran out and I got the vaccine and I felt real good about myself. And, you know, when my kids were ready to go for it, I was like, okay, you know, let's do it. But they're talking about remote learning again. And
Yeah, it's
Nicole,
not coming to fruition what they said, right? You do everything right, and then you
and it
win
doesn't
back your
change.
freedoms. And,
You
but that's
don't.
not, but that's what people like me say, like, that's not how freedom works. And that's what we're starting to realize, because they'll mandate this one, but then that means they've already said that within 5 weeks, this booster has 37% efficacy against Omicron. Well, that's already knowing that in the first 2 weeks, it doesn't even count. So that's like basically 3 weeks of efficacy for something that who knows what kind of safety profile it has.
Well,
We don't
that's
know.
funny because you're getting your information from different sources, because everything that I've seen and read and heard has said that they are pretty much admitting that the boosters and or the vaccine almost have no effect on
37%
getting the vaccine and or getting COVID and or transmitting it to others. And you know what I liken it to? I was kind of talking to my kids about all this stuff because my daughter told me they were talking about going back to remote learning, and I literally just put my head in my hands.
So wait, I just talked to you the other day. Yesterday, was it? Did this just happen yesterday? Did they just say this to her yesterday?
I thought I told you this when we talked, or maybe we just didn't go far enough in the conversation.
I mean, I think what you said, they're back in school, right? But now they're talking about
they started back today. Today was their first day back.
But they're talking about going remote.
They're hearing talks of going back remote.
Oh hell no. Oh my God. Okay. All right.
So hold on before you say that. So
I have to talk about this.
Yeah, because I know it's about to be a hurricane. So listen. So what I was telling my daughter was my senior, I have to be honest, I'm a little bit worried right now because she's my firstborn, and I really am looking forward to seeing her graduate in June.
Yeah.
And I don't want this this nonsense to interfere with the graduation goings on, like the grad night and the prom and the this and the that, all the things that I got to take part in. I want her to take part in. Yeah, I want them to embrace that. So anyway, what I was telling her was like, so if you think about this, right? Like, so there's like 3 oil refineries in the country, right? And literally all the gas in our country is refined at these 3 places, okay? Which is why people thinking getting gas from different gas stations is like, better or worse.
They're all the same.
I won't go off. It's literally all the same gas. So anyway,
we can have the Chevron debate. No, but they put Techron in it. No, it's the same.
Now your engine's gonna last another 100,000. Give me a break. Anyway, so I liken the whole COVID crisis to this, right? If one of the refineries has a fire or an explosion or something goes wrong, or the CEO gets caught sleeping with his secretary or something like that, gas prices go up like exponentially, right? Just immediately, boom, right? When it goes from $4 a gallon to $5 a gallon overnight. But when they give you the news like, oh, the refinery's fixed, everything's great, the CEO is now in a monogamous relationship with his wife, everything's good. It takes gas prices 26 years to go down a nickel. And I've realized that COVID is just like that. They're going to keep extracting from us all the blood that we'll give them. And they'll say like, oh, we're turning the corner. Everyone's, getting better. There's only 3 people in the hospital now.
Everyone did the right thing.
And everyone needs a mask until 2028. There's no give. Okay, the floor is yours.
Well, first I wanted to address that, you've considered Israel, who has been highly vaccinated and a mass vaccination program, and they're already considering, they have mandates, they have green pass, which means, you have to have the booster to go anywhere. That's the first booster. They're already discussing mandating the second booster, right? So this is what I mean.
A total of 4 shots, right?
Already, yes.
Okay.
So this is what people like me said from the beginning. Freedom is not conditional. It's not, but people are dying. And again, you can go back and watch all of our old episodes to find the stats on that, or just look them up yourself and realize, number one, that this vax isn't saving people, because it's not preventing transmission. Is it preventing deaths? I don't know. I mean, everyone wants to say it is. It could be, or it could just be that this isn't as deadly as we know. It's not.
The death rate is unchanged as far as I know.
Right. So again, saying that, then all of a sudden you're conspiracy theorists. When you actually quote the actual data, that's coming from the CDC, or an actual conspiracy theorist. But to me, I don't care, you know, I honestly don't care. To me, it's always been this idea of restructuring and restricting society based on this perceived threat and what happened to us because of it. And, you know, we're still going through it. This is year 3 of 15 days to slow the spread. And to me, the worst part is our children. And like you were saying, like if they go back on remote for your daughter who is going to graduate this year, 18, she gave up. I mean, those were the best years of my high school life, right? 16, 17, 18, you know, you're coming into your own, you're dating, you've got your good group of friends, and people are so flippant with that. Well, at least she's alive. You can't.
Is that the only alternative?
That is the only alternative that we are up against. Unfortunately, the panic and the hysteria has led the policy, and it's broken us, right? And so that's why I feel this year is the year we're going to come together, whereas you feel opposite, that we're still going to go apart. But we shall see what happens in 2022. I really, really hope that you're wrong. But considering you're talking about Esther, I don't know what's right for people. You know, I don't care how many shots people want to take. I don't care. You know, like I said, if this was really a threat that actually was the threat they suggested, where people are dropping dead on the street, I would have 28 shots in my arm right now. I would, you know, we all would. The questionable stuff that comes in here is the fact that you're forcing these shots on people when they're clearly not saving any lives, and yet you're saying they do. And there's just so much confusion. But if you feel like it saves your life, do it. If you feel like it's going to keep you safe, do it. But the minute you start to question, but then do it anyways, that's where I think we become, you know, even more broken, you know? So if she's getting to the point where she's like, yeah, no, to me, I would be like, I'm sorry, I can't do it anymore, you know, because to me, my life is just more worth it. Imagine if somebody does it, and this has happened to people, they did it to protect their life and their family and their job and their livelihood, and then they ended up with a heart attack, or they end up with long-term heart issues, or worse, they end up dead. That's not worth it to me, you know. And to me, I have to go with what my conviction is. And by the way, people have the opposite conviction, which is that I will take a shot every fucking month, whatever it takes, and that's great. And I think you just have to live your convictions, whatever they are, you know. And my overall problem with all of this is we have to allow people to live their convictions, and we still have to all get along as a society without forcing what I tell you is right and what you tell me is right, and you have to believe what I have to believe. That's where I want society to get. And most of all, leave our fucking children alone, especially LAUSD, which is ridiculous because it's, for people who don't know, it's LA County. It's where your kids are actually, you informed me, Pasadena. So it's its own district. But let's talk about LAUSD, which is considering going remote.
I thought I heard this morning that they went remote, maybe at a certain percentage of schools, or
I know that they did mass testing. I don't, so I'm in Long Beach, which is also adjacent to LAUSD. So I'm not in it, so I can't speak to it. I know we went back to school with no, I was actually very proud of our district, or of our school. Our children are still wearing masks every day, which I fucking hate, but I have to pick my battles. I've been very happy that, in light of many parents, because this is LA, many parents emailing them and writing them and saying, no, we can't, we got to go to remote. We got to have mass testing. We have to do all of this. Our school district finally took a rational, logical line and sent an email and saying, listen, we're not going to have mass testing. We're not going to take a day off. We believe it's, you know, very important your child is in school. We will continue to mask inside. We will continue to ask you to test your child yourself at home. If they have symptoms, stay home. I mean, these are the things that we should have done from the beginning, but luckily they're rationally doing them now, which I'm very happy. But I do hear that many in districts in DC and New York City, they are still remote right now. Chicago, you know, coincidentally, it's always the very, very, very left-leaning big cities. So Chicago, DC, New York, LA. And you can't just say it's a politics. Clearly, I mean, it is a politics. It's the parents also who are of that political party who are then, you know, asking their governing forces to do this, to not.
See, I don't know about that. I don't know about that part. Because first of all, every big city is left leaning, like literally every big city. Like if you took the most right-leaning major city in, you know, the South or wherever you want to pick it, it wouldn't even be like 10% of the smallest of the big cities: Chicago, Seattle, LA, New
So
York,
you think it's the
DC.
government that's doing, or
I
I
think
mean like
it's
the governing
absolutely
boards?
the government. I'm telling you, Nicole, I talk to a lot of people about this kind of thing, and most of the people in my circle are, you know, left-leaning people. I definitely have a lot more left-leaning friends, but I do have some fully right-wing conservative friends whom I love.
You have one for sure I know of.
What's that?
You have one for sure I know of.
Oh yeah, I want to kill him daily. But, and I will tell you that 90% of the people that I talk to are so over the COVID and how it's being handled and all this kind of stuff. The one major weakness and or handicap, however you want to put it, for that I see the Democratic Party having, outside of the fact that they're just weak politically, they're just weak. I mean, just no backbone, is that they're not really good at reading the room.
No.
And they're not really good at listening to even their base.
Yeah.
The leaders typically of the Democratic Party tend to have their beliefs and they stick by their beliefs, which one could see as admirable. But the problem with that is you are in a position that by definition means that you serve the people.
Yes.
Right. Most other countries.
I was going to address that in the beginning. When you said, we serve the government, we serve our society, the society.
Well, because that's how I see it. It's
exactly,
reversed. Yeah,
but it's not meant to be that way, right?
It's a bizarro universe right now.
Yes.
Well, not right now, been forever, but we serve the government as opposed to the government. Do you realize that? So like the president has his cabinet, right? You know, the transportation secretary and this secretary and that secretary, right? You know, 90% of the world, the analogous cabinet position is called a minister. Usually in another country, you will find the minister of this, the minister of that. The reason why I'm saying that is because the very definition of minister means to serve. And that's important.
So we took away that title. What do we call them?
We call them secretary this and secretary
king.
That. Yeah, right. Well, I told you the emperor of America is, you know, that job title is going to be open in 2 years from now. But anyway, I just feel like this is, and that's primarily why I can't get down with you on your 2022 prognostication, which I wish I could. It's gonna.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong. I usually hope I'm wrong, because if I come with these very sort of negative, you know, skeptical views, and I'm really a pretty positive person by nature, and I just, you know, but I just call it like I see it, and I can't just be like, you know, oh, it's all going to be wonderful this year. Nothing's changing until, I've said this and I'll say it again. There has never been a revolution in the history of mankind that did not have blood running the streets. I will say I hope
we don't have to get to revolution, but yes, I mean, if it keeps going, it will have to, right?
There's no stopping the people that have power right now. There's just no stopping them. They are an unstoppable force. They are an immovable object. And all we do every 2 years and 4 years is replace the same buffoonery. That's all we do, Republican and Democrat alike. I'm so disenchanted with politics and who the politicians are. And, you know, if I don't know how many senators, congressmen, and everyone else there is on the way down, like, but I would think there's probably like 5% that are like legitimately like, we just want to
serving the people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the others are serving the big lobbyists.
Serving their
big
pockets.
Pharma, oil, you know, stock market, you know, financiers. They're not serving us, they're serving them.
Yes.
And themselves.
Yes.
And that's why sadly, I can't get with you. I already know I'm going to just be like, just over the moon this year. Like, you know, I may just stop talking to you.
Wow. You're going to be that good that you decided you don't even need to be. I'm like one of the top 5 people in your life, but you're like, I don't even need you because
I'll just be so orbiting everybody.
Wow.
I don't even know. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't see anything good happening. I really don't. Can you point to anything for me and the listeners that said that sort of substantiates why you feel this way?
Okay, well, here's what I see behind the scenes, and this takes time. So you're right, it may not be this year, but I see slowly truth coming to light, which takes a lot of time. I think a lot of, I mean, there's so many issues with the system, and the fact that, all of our leaders who are meant to be our public servants are meant to serve us. That's taken a big turn. Now they think that they rule us. And that's what I've been fighting against a lot. But also they understand that if we turn on them, and this is another big thing, is like there's so many of us, they cannot rule us without our consent. If we turn on them,
that's the big thing. You got to turn on them.
Yes,
together.
They're done. Well, this is what I'm seeing. Slowly, it's happening very slowly. And I think it always does happen slowly, right? Change. I have an uncle who has always been interested in politics, and we had lunch one day and we were talking about change happening in politics in our country. And he said, Nichoel, it's meant to be slow. The pendulum swings very slowly. He said, but that's a good thing. He said, in countries where they have revolutions every other day and it switches from one side to the other, and every time someone they change their mind, it's, how do you live like that? How do you live? You're in a war-torn country, basically. You're never stable. You're never, we have a lot of things we want to change, and they do. It takes a lot of time. And
but I feel like we're on the exact opposite side of the spectrum from what your uncle is describing, because it takes moving heaven and earth to pass certain bills. You almost could in no way, shape, or form amend the Constitution again. There almost could impossibly never be another amendment to the Constitution based on the numbers that it would take to do it and the discourse that we have between the two reigning political parties. So I feel like, yes, I agree with him. I agree with him 100%. I think that's a very salient and well thought out thought. But to be on the exact side of the exact opposite side of the spectrum, to me, is equally as infuriating.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. But what I see is slowly things changing. So, we were talking about political parties, and, both you and I, we took the politicalcompass.org test, and we're both moderates. We're moderate libertarians, basically. Maybe you're a little bit more left leaning than me, but I'm literally on the moderate line. The issue, I think, with society and the way things have slowly been going over decades is they have, the pendulum has been swinging, and this is left for me. I don't know what it looks like for you, but, very slowly, but continually. Even we had Trump, and while the whole world was screaming of extremism on the right and all of this, it actually was still slowly moving this way. And I think that's what we don't realize, is that we are in an extreme area. Most Democrats, I think I've told you this before, and you probably thought I was crazy at the time, but maybe you'll see it a little more now, is that the time that we're living in right now politically is so extreme left, and Democrats don't see this or recognize it or accept it, that somebody like me and you, or me for sure, looks like I'm an extreme right Trump tard, is the word they used, right? Because they don't realize that they're not the ones in the center anymore. That a vast population has slowly, without realizing it, through all of the system that we've created, through the media that we've put out, that we've moved so far over here that we don't realize we're not in the center anymore. And you have to rule and govern from the middle. That's where all of the logic and reason comes from. The minute you get to either side, it starts to get tyrannical. And that's the thing. Like, Democrats didn't think that authoritarianism or fascism can be on the left. They don't realize it's in it right now. We're in it, and we have to bring it back. That pendulum has to come back here.
So, okay, I hear you, and I don't disagree with you, but I think I have another perspective. Okay, because you and I are so alike politically. and again, proven by that test, you know, we have very similar views politically. I just see the elephant from a different perspective. You probably see the head, I probably see the tail, but we're both looking at the same object. I personally feel like we're not in extreme left. What we really are is we are under a left-leaning government right now, but we also have such an extreme right contingent that wouldn't work with Barack Obama, they won't work with Biden, and so forth and so on. And we don't really want to work. We didn't want to work with Trump. We didn't want to work with George Bush Jr. As we've talked about in earlier podcasts, I personally believe a lot of this stuff started sort of in Clinton's era. The Republicans just hated him, and then that just caused the total downfall of politics and civility in politics. So what I'm trying to get across to you is, when the Democrats are ousted, and I'm telling you right now, they are all gone in 2022, and Biden and probably no Democrat has any chance of winning 2024 at this point, unless John F. Kennedy rises from his holy grave.
Unless something changes drastically this year.
I don't think a Democrat has a shot in hell at anywhere except running something in Los Angeles or New York or Washington, right? We're going to be in a Republican just stronghold. I mean, they have the judiciary. They're going to have both houses of Congress. They're going to have the presidency, the executive office. And to me, that's just as scary or even more scary, because they will have all of branches of government working for them. And I don't want any one group to have all power. And so I see what you're saying as far as where we are at right now, but Nichoel, oh my God, it can get so much worse. It can get so much worse.
It absolutely can. But so I was going to answer for you why I think it's going to slowly get better, is that I think because so many more are starting to realize that, you know, a lot of this crap we went through the last 2 years was bullshit. And that, you know, they're still trying to enact these measures on our children, especially when children in the next state, the next county over, have done none of this stuff and have gone to school the entire time and don't have. And that's what I was going to say about LA County. Even LA County alone, the biggest school district and one of the biggest in probably the entire country, tested every single kid for the first 2 months and found out the transmission rate for COVID was 0.18% among children. While the same, you know, headlines in the media will say, well, children, oh, they're bringing it home to grandma and they're killing everybody. We clearly found out it's not true. And yet we still do this stuff. And that's what I mean about the hypocrisy of the system and the stuff that people, more and more people are starting to question and starting to see and starting to say, wait a second. And maybe it's because I don't identify myself as a Republican or Democrat, or maybe it's, you know, I have always been middle of the road. And so I try to see all of it. And I can tell you, and I've told you, I have this new group of friends who are all mothers who have the same issues, you know, that I'm having with my children in LA. You know, we just want our children to be able to be children, right? We don't want to deal with this bullshit anymore. And people out there saying like, we want kids to die. Like what? Like, who do you think I am? Like, I want my kids to die? Like, no, I want them to live. That's my issue, right? I want them to live their life. But all these mothers, way left leaning, very, very much so. And they told me the same thing that you said, is that, you know, they're, what you already noticed is that they're voting all Republican. To me, I don't know that it matters. Like you said before, what you even just noticed before, is like, whether it's been Democrat or Republican running our country, it's all the same bullshit until we have principled people with integrity doing what they say they're going to do, you know, whether or not I agree with all of it. Like I liked Bernie. The guy is a complete socialist and I am so opposite of socialism, but I appreciate that. Same with AOC, right? Like Ocasio, whatever her name is in New York. Like I don't agree with most any of her policies, not kidding, like almost none of them, but I appreciate that she appears to be principled. She appears to really want to serve her people. She's passionate about that. I could be wrong, but that's what it seems like to me. And that's are the kind
No,
of people
absolutely.
that I want working in our government, whatever side they're on, right? That's what I want to get to. And I feel like from behind the scenes that it's slowly getting there. I see people, you know, I'm on Twitter all the time. I see more and more people running for like assembly. I didn't even know what assembly was before this year, right? I see more people who are literally running on campaigns saying, listen, we're tired of politics. We want, you know, integrity. We want people who are going to stand up and do what they say. I see that slowly, and that gives me hope that, you know, it will change. Is it going to be overnight? No. Are we ever going to be able to beat this system that's run by billion and trillionaires who, you know, put money into our governing officials' pockets? I don't think we can completely ever. You know, people are going to do bad shit, but I think we can change it from where it is now. But then there was also something interesting too. So considering all these women are Democrats, one of them got one of the surveys. So you know how they'll survey the party every once in a while. They'll send you an email or whatever. I don't know if you've ever gotten it, but I'm an independent. I'm registered independent, so I've never gotten one. And she showed us the survey questions, and they were literally all. So this is a Democrat surveying their own people, and they were like, if they mandate, this is for LA County, if they mandate the COVID vaccine, you know, will you send your child to school? And she was like, no. Every one of them was like, no, you know, right. And the thing is, they're just doing these polls now. These are the things that parents like me have been screaming about for 2 years, right? So this is what I mean about how everything takes time. Slowly, they're going to change their political stance on things when they start to see these poll numbers coming in and start to understand what we already knew long ago, that and it's probably too late, that no Democrat's going to make it if they continue this, which they're doing, right? They're especially in our cities like this, right? And so it's just this big game that takes so long to play, and you know, and when you, it's so disheartening to see like Biden signed a contract, multi-million-dollar, $100 million or something. I can't say the correct numbers. I forgot, but it's for a COVID testing facility, and it won't even be finished until 2024. So he signed a contract, you know, I mean, like, so this is the idea of, you know, right? Like these things that are in their mind, like you said, it's too big to fail. It's there, you know, and that's what people like me and a lot of people are fighting against, to ensure that I don't want a future where we feel like reality is wearing a mask everywhere. You know, you say, well, it's just a mask. No, it's not just a mask. You know, now in reality, I have to have this signifier on my face that I feel distanced from this person. I don't want to say hi to them. They might be sick. They might, you know, what do those things do to our society? And I think what you and I both want are just to have a normal, natural, free society, and we're going farther and farther away from that. So we got to make sure that it comes back. But mostly, I don't even care about me, mostly for my kids. Like I do not want them growing up with this. Like pretty soon they're gonna wear little hazmat suits, you know. Oh, it's just a hazmat suit, let's just wear that everywhere and we're all safe. And you're like, but it doesn't help. But it might. That's the same thing they say about masks. Like I might, but it doesn't.
I actually hate being as logical as I am. Honest, and I'm being serious. Honestly, it frustrates me to be as logical as I am about most things, because when you're super logical, you really start to see the things that don't make sense in life, in your own life personally, and larger society. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I took a couple weeks off in December from going to the gym. I just was hanging out with the family. Everybody was home, so I just wasn't motivated. Went back to the gym this morning for the first time in like 2 weeks. And I was just sort of taking stock of a couple things. New Year's is usually when gyms are packed because everyone makes their resolutions to lose weight and get in shape and all this kind of stuff, right? Gym was empty.
Is there a vax mandate there now?
I don't know. I don't pay attention. I
You
don't know.
never showed it. You never showed.
No, you don't have to show it. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I know that was a thing you were supposed to, but they never enforced it.
Okay.
But the other thing I was going to say is like, you see one of two things. You either see people wearing these masks that literally come down below their nose, Or they're just wearing like their little wraparound bandana, right? Which literally does not stop any particulates of any back or disease, virus, whatever. I don't care what it is, the flu, cold, the COVID, doesn't matter, right? Or you just see people not wearing masks, period. And I'm just like, who doesn't get it? People don't want to be in these masks. And if you are willing to go to the gym and get breathed on and sit on machines that have been sweated on by everybody and their mom, that should be your God-given right to get sick. It really should.
Well, we've restructured society to say that even if you're not sick, you might be sick. And that's what I mean. That's what I take offense at. This idea that we are scared of everything, that we are scared of living. And I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live in a society that lives like that. I've seen what happened, in the height of this, people in the neighborhood literally freaking out if my children and I were outside in the fresh air without a mask, and the way they look at you, and this is not the society that I want. And so I fight for that because it
so
matters.
Again, being so logical, when I'm outside and I literally see people wearing masks, or I see the people driving around by themselves with a mask on and the windows up and all this kind of stuff, I think to myself, this is why I think the way I think. We will never, ever have a moderately normal society ever again, because everyone's nuts. I don't know if it's just where I live, but I'm like, why are you walking down the doggone street?
It is where we live. It is worse where we live. It is worse where we live. And that's what I mean. And so for people who don't live here, maybe if they're lucky, they don't even experience any of this. Maybe they think, well, were you crazy? I've been living my life normal for a long time. That's what we're fighting for here. It is a common understanding that in a very same state, in the very same country, you've been living your life normally for 2 years. And yet somehow we think that we need to do something different. And all the data and science shows that anything we've done hasn't changed our stats in comparison to yours. And that's the logic, which, like I've said the whole time, trying to redefine reality, that I can't get past. Is like, wait, like I'm not the crazy one here. Like this doesn't make sense. And to try to force us to live in this reality is not okay. But again, so going back to, I do think it's slowly getting better, because I do think slowly people are starting to see. I think that, I believe the media has played a major role in this. It's our issues with our entire system and our governance, serving themselves, their self-interest and not their people. But then our media has played a major role in this without us even realizing it. Just their slant and their bias over time, where now when we watch it, we don't even realize that it has a slant and a bias. And but the good thing that's coming out of that now is a lot more independent journalists, and on their own, they have platforms and they're speaking truth. And, Joe Rogan's got like 10 million viewers per show, or, something like 10 million more per show than CNN. Like these things, whether or not you agree with them, the point is that they are becoming more popular, which is good for the truth. And you need to have the truth out in society. You need people have to be able to ask all of the questions and then make their decisions. Like I just listened to a Joe Rogan episode today where he was talking with a doctor who a lot of stuff I agreed with. Some of the stuff I was like, but you have to have that ability to ask those questions and think about it yourself. Whereas what I think for the longest time haven't realized that with our media, we never really had that. We thought we did, we thought they were giving, unbiased opinions, but for the longest time they have not. And we need that. We need that access back to what actual reality is. We need critical thinking back. And I think it's slowly coming back. I guess maybe I'm ambitious and hoping that this year it's going to change. Maybe it won't, but I do see small shifts.
Well,
well, you're wrong.
As the curmudgeon in the room, I cannot wait to enjoy a wonderful conversation with you on December 31st, 2022, going into 2023. And we're just gonna do a State of the Union powwow, and what's different besides the fact that my life just went crazy nuts good.
Well, you're gonna have to tell it how is it gonna go good? Like, what are you gonna be doing this year that's gonna be so great? Like,
don't ask me any personal questions.
Oh, okay. It's up to God.
Yeah,
up to God. That's it.
Hey,
You got me. You got me back.
He, she has me, got me, no doubt about it. But no, I just have good feelings about this year for me.
How do you feel? How do you feel about me this year? What's that feeling feel like?
I had a dream we were on a plane and it crashed. So you were next to me.
What was that joke we used to say in the poker room? Like, what did we used to say? Something about dead.
So like what happened was I'll never forget. Oh my God, you and I laughed so hard. I lost this huge pot to this probably what was a nice guy. And
but you probably weren't nice to him.
I literally looked at you and I told him, I was like, oh, nice hand. And I looked at you and I was like, yeah, he's gonna die tonight. I'm gonna follow him home and kill him. He doesn't realize that yet. So of course you took it to the next power. You were just like, every time you lost a hand, you were like, they're probably gonna die.
It's fine. It's fine because they're gonna die tonight. Okay, so
I forgot all about that. Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Oh, the good times.
The good old days.
The good old
days. It's funny because I in all seriousness, I miss March 12th, 2020. I miss March 12th and everything before it because this world changed. It just really went upside down.
Our whole lives fractured then, or at least mine did.
No, it fractured all of our lives. Maybe not to the same degree or in the same exact way. I mean, you lost your job and your livelihood and the thing you did every day, your routine. I more so was kind of used to working from home anyway and all that kind of stuff. So that wasn't a huge deal, but it definitely upset all of our lives and routines. And that even brings it back to what you were saying about the kids. Like, I mean, I watched my kids put on weight at home. I watched them just, I had two just awesome female volleyball players and their volleyball was just derailed. I mean, Noah, who's the youngest, has a chance to really, get back into it because she'll just be a freshman in high school next year. But Naomi is graduating. And Naomi was the type that really had a shot at looking at playing in college and all that kind of stuff. And I suppose she could if she really trained. But it's just like now her mind is not even there. She's just fully like, academic and that's how I'm doing it. And that's wonderful. But it derailed an entire generation of young people.
Yeah, derailed reality for like you said, I think probably almost everybody. Like, people still say like, when you're gonna play poker, I'm like, I don't even want to. And I don't know if that's, there was this increase in mental depression and illness during this time. I don't know if that's what I have or if I'm just like my whole life doesn't even seem like something I want to go back to. Like, I feel like that I was a completely different person. Like when March 13th, 2020 happened and they shut the casino and I lost my job. And now I feel like that was 20 years ago. That was 2 years ago now.
It feels like so long ago.
And 2 years, almost 2 years ago now, 3 months. It feels like I can't even imagine doing that anymore. And I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I don't think it's that. But that's what's so weird about all of this is like some people though have just kept going on and they just worked at home and and I think unfortunately a lot of those people are the ones that are also driving policy like, oh yeah, we can just work from home and so we just shut down and we'll just lock down, but they don't realize how that interrupts the vast majority of us. Like, how do we'll just lock down and I'll just order food. Well, who's going to make your food and who's going to bring it and who's going to
you should look at the statistics now of employed people or workers who have the opportunity to stay home, what percentage of them actually just want to stay home now? And it's like 90%. It's some crazy amount. So people don't even seem to care to have the even social structure you get from going to work and dealing with people every day. And on some level, I can understand that because I came from corporate America, so I know how nice it felt when you could work from home. But when I'd work from home for like X amount of days, 3, 4, 5 days, I would then have a desire to like actually go to the office and see people and commune with, you know, my fellow coworkers and all that kind of stuff, which is, I guess, similar to what we sort of experienced in the poker world.
Right.
Our whole social structure was upset because even like if I didn't show up for a day or two to the casino, I would get a text from you like, "Hey, where are you at?" You know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen you in a few days. Like, it doesn't, even though I'm not an employee, I just play for fun. It still was a very like stable sort of routine for you and all of the other people who we formed such nice relationships with. And it seems like nobody's really taking stock of just mentally how this whole thing has really just been devastating. Even just again, like how you said, looking at people, the way we now look at people, like depending on what side you're on, how we look at people, you know, who wear a mask or don't wear a mask, or who get vaccinated or who don't get vaccinated. I mean, like there wasn't enough stuff to divide us before all this. Now we're literally like, you're a fool because you choose not to get vaccinated.
Yes. Well, it's just another way we divide ourselves. That's what I, been like yelling from the beginning. And I went to this get together of all these new friends and these like-minded parents this last weekend, and one of them was discussing a book she read or a study she read about a small country where the people are all the same race. They're all very similar, but the only difference amongst the people in this small country was that they have very different religions. And so guess how they're divided? It's by their religion, right? It's used, and again, this is used, by our political parties as a way to combat each other. They're used by our media as a way to, to divide and create, narratives and whatever. The point is we allow it. It's like, like these people are almost exactly all alike, except for some of them have different religious beliefs. So that's how they divide. And so now I think you're wrong because you believe that, and you think it's the same shit with the masks and the vax. It's all just another way that we allow everybody else to divide us. We allow it. Like, now we've decided, especially like it was heartbreaking for me to hear. It is heartbreaking for me to hear still families and didn't have family over for holidays, and didn't seem, because they made a decision based on a personal medical choice that now that's more important to them, their belief in whatever they're, that then this, what really matters is each other and the connection and the people. All of this stuff.
Nicole, in fairness to humanity, there's like a strand of DNA that literally just, for human beings, we want to divide ourselves into different groups based on whatever. So like for your illustration, everybody's the same race. Let's say they're all the same height, weight, all that good stuff, right? Human beings will always find a way to differentiate one from another. Like, so it would be like eye color. All the brown-eyed people stick together. All the blue-eyed people stick together.
Yeah.
Which actually is what makes you and I sort of different, because we don't really subscribe to tribalism. Mm-hmm. Or maybe we actually kind of do, because we're basically we just like nice people. So if you're not nice, we really don't want to hang out. But it's not it's not even like we were joked about a few minutes ago. Like you're like, because how I feel about God and how I see God in my life and all that kind of stuff. And I know how you do. And we're sort of very different on that level, but it doesn't preclude us from being close friends, right? It doesn't impinge on our ability to talk and communicate about the different perspectives. That's not how larger society tends to run itself. And I think that's what makes me more sad about anything when it comes to, like, say, just America right now, just America. We just don't know how to to talk when the person is not watching CNN and you watch CNN, or the person is not watching Fox when you watch Fox. Like, so all the gym equipment at my gym, the cardiovascular type stuff, treadmills, all that good stuff, steppers, all that stuff, they all have TVs, right? It's so funny to look at because half of them will be on CNN and half of them will be on Fox News. And you can almost see people kind of like look at people like, oh, she's a Fox watcher. She's a CNN watcher. You can almost see it and feel it. I'm telling you. And so I was on the elliptical machine one day, and this older Asian lady was on the machine next to me, and she was watching Fox News. So I purposely put the TV on CNN, even though I typically will put it on ESPN. And I kid you not, she looked over and she was like, whatever. And so you know what I did? I put the TV on Fox News.
Did she look
And
at
you
you
know what she
happy?
did? She looked over at me, and I swear this is the truth. She grinned at me. She was like, I was like, yeah.
She's like,
oh my God.
I converted somebody.
I wanted to tell her, like, dude, you're so stupid. But anyway, she was cute. Like, you know, just an old Asian lady that just, you could tell had the same sort of tribal spirit that all human beings carry. That's the thing, Nichoel, that you're gonna have to overcome for your thing to take root, for your vision to take root. Right, my vision is already like, I'm fully like immersed in reality. You're like total pie in the sky. So I'm pulling for you.
You know what I think? I think we're already there. I think all this other stuff, we allow it to get in the way. I think we truly, if you listen to your own heart, if you literally listen to your own heart, you already know the truth. But we get all these things in our way, you know, these ideas that everyone else tells us, including the media and our government and our school and our parents, or, you know, right? Everybody else tells us what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to believe. I truly think that we're born knowing and understanding. It's very simple. All it is about each other, you know. And does that mean that you're gonna like everybody? No. I mean, you know, there's 8 billion people in the world. You have very different personalities, but acceptance, you can accept everybody. I think you come out as a baby accepting everybody, like, okay, all right, I mean, you're a tool, but all right, fine, you know. I think we did a good job at the poker table of it, right? You know, like, there were people who literally could have been mass murderers, not kidding, you know, but we accepted them in that moment. We're like, okay, well, you know, we're playing poker and I see you, and, you know, I'm not going to hang out with you late at night by myself, but like, you know, I think that's just it. That's the world. I think that's the most you can ask for in the world. Like, you know, we try so hard to like, oh, everyone's got to be like me and they got to do what I say because I'm smart and you're not. And like,
do you remember that time when the guy, I will not name his name, but he walked by you and he was like, hey, beautiful. And you were like, hey. And then he kept walking and you looked at me and you were like, should I be creeped out that he called me beautiful?
I remember that, but I can't remember who that is.
I'll tell you off the stream.
Okay.
But I thought that was so hilarious. Like, yeah,
we
deal with a bunch of very different people there.
Yes, but you know, honestly, I can honestly say, and I can say my progression, because in the beginning, I honestly thought all poker players were like fucking idiots. I was like, this is like the worst profession because everybody's idiots. But by the end, when I progressed, or I believe I evolved as a person, I was like, yeah, I really love all of these people. Like, you know, I don't like them all. I don't want to hang out with all of them, but I found my good group because I accept all of people, and I hope they accept me too. You know, we had our bad, there's people, you know, how many times did I yell at Norm, you know, old curmudgeon, like, but also, you know, Norm and I have hugged it out, and it's just accepting people who they are, all of them. And I think we've gotten to a point in our society, while professing that we are trying to be so tolerant of everybody, we become way less tolerant of anybody if they don't think or do the same thing that I say or do. And so we have to move through that. I think we can. I do.
We need another political party, man. Real talk. We need another political party that has a legitimate shot at being a threat to power.
Yeah.
Right. Meaning, like, you almost know for certain if there's an independent candidate that runs for president, that person has zero chance. All they can really do
right
is maybe
now.
take away some votes away from the loser, right?
Well, okay. By the way, I have an issue with that. I mean, that's a major campaign that people from the party that they want to win also use to not vote for the other guy. Again, I think this all goes back to your heart as well. It's like I feel like if everyone just voted their heart and they really wanted the independent guy, you don't know what could happen. I mean, I think that's another thing. I think we got to spend a lot more time listening to like here and not to like everything else around us. I think when we do that, there already Andrew Yang is already trying to start the Forward Party, and I think there will be that. I think if nothing else in crisis.
Oh, there's 100 different parties, right?
Yeah.
There's the Green Party and this party and that
Libertarians
party.
and independents.
Yeah, but I'm talking about a real legitimate threat to the powers that be, to the Democrats and the
there will be
Republicans.
one person. It'll take one person. It's all it'll take. One principled person. So imagine if Trump had actually been like as loved as he was, but actual like an independent principled person like that, it would have been over. Once he got in office like he did when no one expected it, now all of a sudden there's three parties. That's what it takes. It'll be a surprise. But because of all this major crisis, because of all this like political upheaval through all of this, those people are growing up right now that are going to do that. But it's going to take decades. Not days. It's something that just takes time.
If we see major change in yours and my lifetime, I
we
guess
will.
I'll be happy.
But it won't be tomorrow. I mean, think of all the change since 20 years ago. But because it goes,
it's only gotten worse.
Well, it's still changed. I mean, there's been a lot of.
It's not the exact same. It could be worse.
There's been a lot of advancements as well. I mean, life is different. Like, look at what we're doing right now. We would never even be able to have a relationship or a podcast like this, 20 years ago. There wasn't even fucking barely internet 20 years ago. Barely.
Wait, are you talking about technologically or are you talking about socially?
Yeah, well, both.
I've had white friends all my life.
No, I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about doing this. I'm doing this podcast on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking technologically, of course things are going to.
I mean, that's what I mean. 20 years.
Yeah, but it's probably going to become more Big Brother, dude. Technologically, we're probably going to have chips implanted in our butt. Where
you said in our
they
butt.
actually influence they'll actually influence our thoughts by pressing a button.
Well, you can do it by choice, right? Yeah, Musk is making Neuralink, but I mean they're not forcing it yet. But
wait, what is Neuralink? I think I've heard of that.
I don't know if you would call it a chip, but it's literally an implant.
Oh yeah.
Implant in your brain.
Talking about chips, man, that freaks everybody out. Most of this country professes to be Christians, and Christians have a real problem with anything being implanted
in the beast. Yes. Exactly. Well, there's I didn't save it right now, so it would take me too long to look up. But there's already talking about, speaking of vax, is like implant your vax record chip. And in Sweden, apparently it's already in testing trials and showing it, like how you go and you scan your phone. It's just they're scanning their arm because we implant dogs, right, with microchips. I've never implanted mine, but a lot of people do implant their pets, right? There's a logical next step is that we're going to do it to ourselves. We're going to do it to our children. We're going to do it to right. So I mean, yes, this stuff will happen.
Okay, but you let me know right now. Do you want some biblical fun facts, or do you want to just close this thing out? Because I can really blow your mind.
Let's close it out with biblical, and by fun facts you mean conspiracy theories. But yes.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about things that come from the Bible that we believe in today, right? Okay. Christians. So as you stated, like essentially not necessarily the mark of the beast, but in the last days, right? In the last days, Revelations and other books, but yes, Revelations primarily. There will come a time when you will have what they called a mark, but it could be a chip, it could be whatever, but they called it a mark. The person who was seeing all this in the spirit, right? John the Revelator, saw this. The reason why I'm telling you this is because you could only shop, go out, buy goods, whatever. You could only live essentially if you have this chip in your wrist or your forehead. That is actually kind of scary because I can see that now. Like I can, like all my life I've read about this stuff and I've been taught this kind of stuff, but it never seemed plausible, especially as 10, 15 years old, because technology wasn't even near that kind of thing.
Wait.
See now.
What does the book say when that happens? And that's the end of the world?
So I mean, it gets very detailed, but essentially the people that took this mark would be the people that literally would not be accepted by God or Christ.
I'm going to heaven for sure.
Into heaven. Well, but you still have to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. But this would come after a time when you've probably heard about oh my God, I forgot the word. When everybody's caught up into heaven, let me put it like that. Everyone's caught up in the rapture. I'm sorry. God, I can't believe I forgot that. Where everybody's raptured into heaven. And so then the people that are
I didn't hear about that. That means they're not even dead. They take them to heaven.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Obviously I can't tell you like literally how it would happen. There's sort of perspective that literally your spirit will just leave your body. So there could be millions of bodies that just fall flat on the ground because they now have been called to heaven, or literally they could pick your body up and you could go to heaven. I don't know how that particular part is supposed to even work biblically, but that's the gist of it.
That's a rapture.
So anyway, after that happens, all the people who are left, now these are all the people who did not accept Christ as their Lord and Savior, are given one last chance to make that decision to follow Christ. But this time you'll have to pay with your life, right? So if you're a Christian nowadays, you don't have to suffer the guillotine and all that kind of stuff that the Bible talks about happening after this rapture has happened, right? So this is when the whole mark of the beast comes into play, forehead and wrist, because you will not be able to do anything that sustains life without having that mark. And if you don't get that mark, then you're actually literally you get your head chopped off at the guillotine, and then God will accept you in heaven because now you've made that sacrifice and you did that. But point being, you could actually see, even if you're not a religious person, you're not into all of that, or if it just sounds like crazy making and all that, you could actually see something like that being plausible. I'm not talking about necessarily the spiritual side, obviously going to heaven. I'm saying here on earth, you could see how governments can go that far, right? We've already suffered, like, say, the Holocaust, right? That would have been unthinkable, 100 years ago, right? But they marched on and got progressively more whatever they needed to be more of to create huge ovens killing people, and it was accepted and so forth, right? I can see society getting to a place where the government's like, look, you have to have this chip to buy groceries, to go on Amazon, to go on whatever site you buy clothes at or anything like that. You must have it. And if you don't have it, then you're just going to perish in the street. I mean, I could see that, forgetting again all the religious implications. It's actually pretty scary as a 44-year-old who has literally studied the Bible his entire life to kind of see where we have progressed to, and the fact that is really, 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 really a possibility.
It's not even just a possibility. It's actually being done. Like, I don't want to go on forever, but it's being done in Germany and Netherlands, and they're Australia. They're shut down, and you can go out and you can go to but you have to be vaxxed and you have to show your vax code. So you have your phone, you have your QR code. Our own friend from Australia said that. If you go anywhere, you show your vax code. It's just one small step from that to having it implanted in your arm. This is already attached to your arm. It's the same thing. Right. I mean, that's what even Elon Musk said. It's the same thing. It's the computing power that you already have at your fingertips, which is right. This is our whole life now. He's like, it's just implanted in your brain. Now, instead of having to look at it here, now you just think it here. Right.
Wow.
I mean, the implications of that stuff are crazy to think about. To me, it's about, as long as it's always personal choice, that's your choice, and that's to me, and that's the issue that we are dealing with, where you're saying a government's going to enforce these things. That's the problem. You can't, tyranny happens in baby steps. And that's what people try to point to, things like Germany, which, by the way, still builds walls between unvaxxed and vaxxed at city centers and stuff, which is like so funny. When you try to point, it's not funny, but so gross,
Ironic.
but you try to point to, historical events that happened, and they say you're an anti-Semite for comparing. Oh my God, having to get a vaccine is nothing like killing people in a shower. You don't understand the implications, right? The same things that you just said, that a government, if we allowed and accept anybody else, including a government, that can tell us, not only tell us, but force us to do things in order to live, then we are not a free people, right? And not only are we accepting it, we're cheering it on. These are the things that, I have a problem with. So whether or not we take the chip, go ahead, again, take the chip. You want the Neuralink, get the Neuralink, but you cannot have a society where someone has to force you to do that. And they are doing with these mandates. That's another, really trashy part about our media, is they have not shown the massive hundreds of thousands of people protesting across Europe, in France and Netherlands and Germany and Austria, because these mandates they're pervasive. For the most part, and this is how I know that we are slowly changing, is that we have fought down or kept down the mandates in this country, right? Even in cities like LA, where you said you haven't even had to show it. A lot of businesses are not complying with the idea that we have these mandates, right? I think that just goes to show that it is slowly changing here. The mindset is changing. Whereas once we thought, oh yes, we're doing this for our health and we're saving lives. Now people are realizing it and waking up before we get to the point where we allow some government or any person or any being, complete sovereignty over ourselves. You can't do that. You can't tell a government that they get to tell you what you can do, and you can't do anything if you don't listen to them, and you can't buy food. But they're literally doing that in countries right now, and we don't talk about it at all.
Yeah, and I just pray for all the people who have been brainwashed, who honestly believe that somehow a change in the political structure, meaning like going from Democrat to Republican or vice versa, is going to change your life as an average person in any way, shape, or form. It is not. Until you are the financially elite, who's in government does not matter.
Nope.
That means you need to just get together with all the people who are like you, and then you have real power and influence. But as long as you are brainwashed into thinking that if the person in office last name is Trump or Biden, somehow that's going to make your life better or worse, you have been absolutely brainwashed. And that's why I wish I would have just taken the blue pill, because I just know too much now.
We didn't even talk about, I was disappointed with Matrix. What did you think about it?
Totally disappointed.
I kind of felt like I was going to be, because nothing compares to the first one. They made the other two.
All they really did was try and remake the first one.
Yeah,
it was almost just a reimagining of the first one.
And not only that, it was just like Scream. You remember Scream when they did like Scream 2? It was like the same thing. It was like a movie within a movie. Let's write a movie within a movie. I was like, this is so bad. I was so sad.
Yeah, it was totally disappointing. I took the red pill t-shirt and I just hung it up in my closet. I was like, I'm not even wearing this. Done. Sorry.
But the very first one is very, very good. I mean, it stands on its own.
Especially for the time. I mean, it was so far ahead of its time. It
still stands on its own. And many people need to see that and understand like the implications of that. I mean, the whole implications of that movie are of a broad tyrannical overlord, government, right? Managing what the freedom of the people. And most of them didn't even know it. And it's exactly the metaphor for our life, right? And you have to first see the truth, first have to get unbrainwashed so that you can realize it, so that you can live freely. And it sounds simple, but for most people, very, very hard.
Very difficult. It's a 5%er kind of thing. I told you, 95% sheep, 5% goats.
Big difference.
I'm a goat. Yeah.
All right, we better let these guys go. I mean, we've been talking forever, but
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You can subscribe to my prediction, which is that we're going to slowly get better this year. Or you can subscribe to Michael's, which, to be fair, Michael was right at the beginning of the pandemic that this was in the last 2 years. I only did not believe that because I had more faith in humanity. So there's that.
That's your problem.
But to be fair, I also knew what was going on from the beginning, whereas you're just figuring that out. So you knew it was going to last this long. But you didn't know the ramifications of it.
I am a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
No, that's my line. You can't have my line.
Surrounded in a riddle. Got a little intrigue going on. You don't want to get in here. By the way, I told my kids, and they think I'm just the oldest person ever. I told them, I said, if anybody wishes me a Happy New Year in February, I'm smacking them.
Oh,
I don't want to get Happy New Year in February. I'm telling you.
I remember Michael Chung in January 27th, still wishing me Happy New Year. And I said, if anybody tells me Happy New Year one more time, I'm going to smack them right in the face.
I mean, right in March, people coming with a Happy New Year.
Yeah, no, that's it. This is the only Happy New Year you're going to get.
This is it. Don't look for another one.
Next week, we are not going to say Happy New Year.
No, we are fully in 2022. We are fully entrenched.
And it's not even a happy year yet, but we're wishing.
Be more likely to get like a, Happy Memorial Day from me next week. Yeah. Anyway,
all right.
All righty.
We'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.